Yeah.
Hello, I'm Kevin Benedict, Senior Vice President of Solution Strategy here at Galax, and I am honored to be the host of this series, and this is the CIO Water Coolers IT Leadership Series that we're recording today. And I'm thrilled to have as our guest, Floriana Molone. Floriana, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Kevin. Thanks.
So Floriana, she is the head of customer service and the deputy information management and technology director at the London School of Economics. How do you fit that name and that role on your business card?
Well, head of customer services, IMT. So, we just got IMT too long.
There you go. Well, that's great. And thank you so much for joining us today. And I want to thank the audience out there anywhere in the world for also joining us. So, Floriana, talk to us about, where you're coming from. Are you in London or are you somewhere else?
No, I'm in London. Sunny day today, just for a change. So it's a lovely day. And yes, we're based, the London School of Economics, we're based in London, in Aldwych, very close to Covent Garden.
Well, very good. Again, thank you for joining us. So talk to us about your role. It sounds like you have a big kind of scope and scale of responsibilities there, customer service and the deputy IMT director. Talk to us about what that all involves.
Okay, so the customer services section of the IT department at the London School of Economics is the customer-facing part of the department. So my staff, in terms of numbers, is roughly about 50 staff, and we are the ones that actually are customer-facing. That we are positioned in key areas across the campus, and we are the ones as first point of contact for any IT queries and issues, so that the school, and when I say school, I mean academics, professional services, and students may have on IT. So it's the key part because it does give the perception of our services across the board. So we are the ones that the customers know, even if we escalate and we work through internally, depending on what the issue is or the query, we do refer to networks or infrastructure or systems. But we are the ones that actually, as far as the client is concerned, we are IMT, Information Management and Technology.
Got it. So talk to me about the demographics you're supporting. I imagine a lot of millennials and
Yes.
educators.
Absolutely. So overall staff, it's 4,500, and that's professional services and academics. And then student-wise, they are 11,000 permanent students, plus about 7,000 students as a summer school students, mainly coming from Europe or all over the world for 3-4 weeks of a summer. So overall is about 17,000 students.
Wow. So I imagine there's a lot of digital natives among that demographics. Talk to me about what makes that demographic unique as opposed to perhaps a commercial enterprise that's dealing with the general population.
Yes. So basically, yes, it's millennials, and students nowadays they do pay quite high fees to come to universities, and universities is getting more and more very competitive environment. So of course, students are first of all really demanding about the service that they're going to get at the LSE or any university. And of course, being millennials, they're very switched on technology. They've got 2 or 3 devices each. So they expect that level of knowledge from the IT department. They expect expertise in Windows, Android, Apple. And of course, it's down to my staff to be able to solve queries or being very knowledgeable and helping them. So of course, the expectations are really high. And we have to be there to fulfill those expectations. And I have to say, they're quite vocal whenever they're not happy about the service they're getting. So they're not afraid of complaining, which is, what they should be doing anyway, because, they do pay high fees and they want a top service across the board, from teaching, from learning, and from all the professional services divisions, they actually support the school.
So, in addition to taking care of a population, a demographic with high expectations, talk to me about how the whole educational process has actually changed and been digitally transformed over the past 5 or 10 years.
Yes. So the way, I mean, as I say, it's a very competitive environment. So universities actually they do face the challenge of making sure that the services and the technology they do provide to the school is cutting edge. So in 2014, I went to America to explore how US universities they actually support students in terms of the technology. And I've seen cutting edge technology in few of these universities. So when I come back, I expressed and in my report actually said where there are a lot of things that we need to improve. There is a lot more technology that has to be set up in teaching rooms, in classrooms, and the way that students do attend classes and the teaching is very much still very traditional. So we are, we're moving we're moving forward with a digital transformation agenda because of the demands coming from the students and actually what other universities are currently setting up in their own campuses. We've set up a service which is called Lecture Capture, whereby students can actually review their teaching class or the lecture at home, revise for exams, so they can actually log in into a platform and being able to go through the lecture again, and this is something that nowadays is expected by any good university. So the traditional way of learning and teaching is changing, and technology will have to support this new way of learning and teaching.
Wow, I have 2 kids that recently graduated from the university, so I was seeing that through their eyes as well. And this weekend, I was at a social event with a university professor, and she was sharing that one of the challenges of this new world around education is almost a 24/7 communication with her students as well. And so there's some challenges there that I don't know how to address as well.
Well, students are asking more and more for a collaborative way of learning. So even in terms of spaces across the campus and buildings, we are setting up environments which will facilitate students studying together rather than the traditional one-to-one. There are still some teaching classrooms that look like the classrooms that you could see in the 14th or 15th centuries in old paintings. But nowadays we're trying to refurbish and revamp the look and feel just to make sure that the students are willing to have a more collaborative way of learning. So the technology and the layout of the rooms, they have to support that.
Well, that's just fascinating to think of all these different ways of learning and interacting and communicating. So, in the past, a lot of organizations will look at IT as really the part of the operation that just keeps the lights on and keeps the operation functioning. Today, we're seeing around the world that IT has been elevated to more of a strategic role and is involved in a lot of the strategy and planning going forward. How do you see that reflecting in an educational environment?
It's exactly the same, actually. I mean, I've got a background of about 10 years spent in commercial environments, so in telecoms and banking. And now I moved to the universities world. And I have to say that, the way IT is seen nowadays is a lot more than just keep the lights on. Of course, that you need to keep the lights on. That's crucial. That's the key point of making sure that all the life services that you provide to a business are actually working. However, we don't want to be seen, and IT doesn't want to be seen just keeping the lights on. It's more about engaging with the business, understanding the strategy, understanding goals, and making sure that IT is an enabler to make sure that the business achieves that strategy or the goals. And actually, we're moving even forward in terms of being seen as a part of the business. So I see more and more CIOs being pushed to be actually part of the board because technology underpins anything that actually a company will want to achieve and enables them to achieve. So it's been acknowledged that we're not just there to fix and to keep the lights on, but to contribute and at times make a difference in terms of how business will perform or not perform. So the IT is seen more and more at strategic level, and there is a lot of emphasis about IT strategy being aligned to the business strategy and support the strategy.
Wow, and I imagine that the technology plays into recruitment and the attraction of new students and professors as well. I bet that's part of the whole presentation of the school nowadays.
Yes, I mean, academics are very conservative, I have to say. They see IT as the old way IT was about 20 years ago. It's more about having the one-to-one interaction with the IT engineer, having the printer in their offices, and not being willing to actually embrace the new way of delivering technologies. So our challenge is keeping the balance between a user base which is very conservative, like the academics, and the millennials. They actually are coming to say, okay, I've got 3 devices. I'm bringing my own devices. So how are you going to make sure that I connect, I switch from one device to the other? So it's just for us, a university is keeping that balance, and the challenge is making sure that both user bases are happy. So trying to find a kind of agreement in the middle of how we're going to be delivering our technologies.
Wow. So let's talk about let's get a little bit tactical here, Floriana. Have the number of systems that you're responsible for expanded or contracted over the last few years?
I have to say that, I mean, they've expanded. So the service catalog, it gets bigger and bigger. And the challenge of our department is to try and to streamline the services that we're providing. The more services we're adding up, the more support we will have to provide. And we don't get incremental headcount or more people as soon as we got a new service to provide. So the challenge of IT leadership is about delivering, streamlining, and within the existing headcount and the resources you have. So it's about understanding what are your pressure points and how you can actually negotiate with the business and with academics that perhaps if they use a specific teaching application, there may well be something very similar that already a number of departments are using that they could use in order for us not to support an additional application, and not just to make sure the infrastructure is not overloaded and the architecture is not overloaded of what we're providing.
So I imagine many of these systems are cloud-based in subscription models, kinds of environment.
Well, we are, I mean, as we stand now, we don't have a lot of services that actually are currently in the cloud, but definitely the strategy is to move more and more services to the cloud. So every time that we have a new service coming up or we are restructuring, we always think, okay, let's think about the cloud first. And if there is a good reason as to why it should not be in the cloud, then we will provide that service in-house. So the strategy, like all other universities, because we do engage with our peers or with our peers across the UK and sometimes US, is about, okay, cloud first, unless we got a good reason as to why we shouldn't be in the cloud.
So Floriana, you have this leadership role in IT. You've worked your way up through IT, and you, matter of fact, are the winner of the Future CIO of the Year 2018 Women in IT Award. You were awarded that recently. Congratulations to that.
Thank you.
So, is it easier or harder being a woman in leadership in IT today than it has been in the past?
Definitely in the past has been a big challenge. When I started my career in IT 17 years ago, I couldn't see any women senior IT leaders at all. And even, working through my career has been quite challenging because IT environment by default is a male environment. But nowadays things are changing, and there's a lot of campaigns and a lot of I mean, women in IT senior leader roles, they're getting really vocal about increasing the numbers of women, because you would think naturally a woman wouldn't choose that career. However, if women already in senior roles are very visible and they are vocal about how you can build a career in IT, then I think that we would encourage other women to start a career in IT, which is a fascinating world, but by default, you wouldn't think to start a career in IT because it's a male environment. So things like Women in IT Awards and other awards, diversity in technology, or the Women in Silicon, roundabout now. There is a conference that's going to be in London at the end of, at the end of June. You can clearly see that the women in IT roles are getting more vocal and wanting to push and encourage other women to join that career.
Oh, that's brilliant. Matter of fact, I was just thinking, for about the first time in my interview series this month has been predominantly the people I've been interviewing have been women in leadership roles.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Yeah. So let's look forward. How would you predict or anticipate kind of EdTech, so educational technology, evolving over the next 3 to 5 years? What do you see changing and being added into your environment?
I see more and more services being digital. I see the whole student experience actually being digital, having a student platform where students can actually log in and have their own details, the courses they've chosen, timetabling, the exam they're taking. So everything in a single sign-on platform where there is all like a student portal, where they can see the end-to-end student experience and student path at the LSE. So we're developing, as we speak, a student app, so an application that will be on the students' phones, where actually we'll talk about anything happening at the LSE, from their courses and timetabling, hours that you can book with the teachers and tutors, up until up till what you can find across campus in terms of shops, in terms of catering. So like the overall student experience and student life in a student app on the phone.
Oh man, I look forward to that. I remember back in the dark ages when my years in university, one of my hardest things to accomplish was just finding out which classes I still needed to take in order to graduate in an optimal time frame. And I know nowadays that's all changed, but if I could only have a chatbot that would say, this next semester you need 2 additional courses that are available at these time slots, pick one. I would have given anything for that. In my ages, it was all catalogs, and then it was, it was so hard.
Yeah, if I compare where I went to university and how the LSE has been right now, and I mean just nowadays, and the experience, and how the students will browse their courses and classrooms, or will understand which room is available or which PC is available across campus for them to use it, then it's a completely different experience. Absolutely. And books, everything is very much online, so the all student experience is completely changed. If I remember my university days.
Well, Floriana, this has been just a brilliant learning session for me. I want to thank you for sharing your insights as an IT leader. And
Thank you
you are also going to be at the upcoming CIO Water Cooler Live event on June 19th, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
We'll be able to meet each other in person, because I will also be in attendance, and I'm very excited to be there. So with that,
Great.
I want to thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for inviting me.
And I want to thank the audience out there for staying with us as well. Thank you.